Hello, this is Jeana at Art of Skincare. I am the founder of Art of Skincare. We've been going here for 18 years. Gosh, it's a long time. I started Art of Skincare when I was 45. It was kind of a midlife crisis for me. I have three daughters, and I had been at home with them for 20 years. And the whole time I was at home with them, I was always grinding on what is the meaning of my life? I knew it was important that I was a mom. I wanted to be an at-home mom for my daughters, but I also felt a need to do something creative with my life. And for many reasons, for my own fulfillment, as well as being a role model for my daughters. And so at 45, as my daughters are getting into high school and Madeline was graduated from high school, I launched Art of Skincare. It was my creative baby, and I have loved it. This has been a really wonderful journey. But today, what we're going to talk about is aging. So, as I just talk about my background a little bit and bringing that into perspective, I want to touch on that topic of aging. And one of the things I've tried to do through my process of being in the beauty industry, being a mom with three daughters, and aging is I've tried to redefine aging and what society tells me aging should be. I used to think of the term aging gracefully. I think we all kind of thought of that term a lot. I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of a buzz term, aging gracefully. I don't know that I like that term very much anymore. It's kind of meaningless at this point. Now a buzzword, a thing that's going around that we're talking a lot about is taking the anti out of aging. So what if we were to age but not worry about anti-aging? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And so I've invited Madeleine to come on the show with us today. I am 63. Madeleine, how old are you?
I'm going to be 37 next month.
37. And so, and Madeleine has a daughter.
I have a 9-year-old who is absolutely with the rest of the tweens in the world and completely obsessed with skincare.
Everything she sees on YouTube or TikTok,
Yep.
she's into that fun beauty. And so both of us having daughters, being mothers, we thought it'd be fun to have a conversation around that aging concept. I was thinking about this show and thinking about what were kind of pivotal moments for me. And one of those pivotal moments, I think, for me was when I turned 50. At age 50, Madeline will remember it as I start saying what was happening at that time for me. I had braces. So I had braces and I had decided to let my silver highlights grow in, to let my gray hair grow in. And as I look back at that time period, I think that entire year, I can look back now and see that I was under a lot of stress, internal kind of turmoil over aging. And having turned 50, I was just feeling like, okay, my life is half over. Now everything from here, it might be downhill, but I need to do it gracefully. I think that's what the aging gracefully. It's all going to be downhill, but I need to do it gracefully. But it was tough. I had braces, I was growing in my gray hair, and I was at the dermatologist one day. And you guys might relate to this. At the dermatologist's office, lovely gal, female doctor, and she said to me, have you thought about getting Botox for those lines between your eyes there? She goes, I have my husband do it for me. I get those filled because otherwise he says I just look mad all the time. And we don't want to look mad all the time. And I thought, no, I don't want to look mad. Do I look mad all the time? So I consented and said, okay, let's do it. And prior to that, I'd always been, no, I'm going to age gracefully and accept my aging. But I was at a very vulnerable moment when I was in the office with her. And I remember leaving there and going, this is interesting that I'm doing this. And it took me several months or weeks at least before I actually admitted it to my family that I had done that. And I don't know if Madeline remembers
I
when
do.
I admitted
I
it.
do.
Do you remember where we were?
No.
We were on a river raft. We were floating down the river. And I just somehow announced, yeah, I got Botox. And
I'm
what was
vaguely
your
remembering
feeling?
it now.
Did you have a feeling or reaction about that as thinking about me and who I was and being your mom? What were the kind of the feelings or thoughts that you had around that?
Honestly, I remember thinking it was kind of funny because of the time and the place and the location that it all kind of came out was so funny. But I also remembered feeling a little bit like, but why? Because I've always felt like through all phases of life, you're so beautiful and you have always been a role model. And so I remember feeling um in that moment just kind of like, why? You didn't need
Yeah.
to do that. That's not
Yeah.
necessary.
And that's a response I got from my husband and all three of my daughters. And it got me really thinking and realizing that here I am heading into more mature years. And what am I modeling for my daughters? I am feeling totally insecure, unsure of myself, not beautiful, really struggling right now, but yet trying to put a graceful face on it. And I would say that that was really the beginning of my journey of taking the anti out of aging and what that would mean for me. And my daughters were so beautiful at that point because they were really encouraging me to just be myself and be okay with it. Gray hair was fine. I remember Celine bringing pictures to me of models with gray hair saying, "Look at how beautiful it is, Mom. Look at this. The gray hair is beautiful." And having that encouragement from them helped me to realize, hey, I am a role model for them. They're encouraging me. And now, what can I do to come to peace and find happiness in my aging process and be empowered by it rather than modeling for them being insecure and worried about it? So, what I have found through, I'm going to let you talk in a minute. I will eventually let Madeline talk. So what I discovered is that there's pivotal moments like that. There's also a constant reconciling. So I feel like, and I talk about a lot, that one of the things we have to fight as we age is stagnation because everything is telling us to slow down. Our skin cells are turning over slower, our body is healing slower. And so when I talk about reconciling, I think of times when I've injured myself playing tennis or had to have a surgery and it took so long to heal. I can remember having moments thinking, oh, I'm getting so old, or having those fears that, oh, this is never going to get better. Sometimes when you're in the crux of a healing crisis with your body, you can feel like, oh, this is never going to get better. Is this just going to be the way it is? And there's a reconciling to me that has to happen in there where I go, no, it is going to get better. This is just what it is right now. And I may not ever jump out of a helicopter in skis. That may have passed me up. For some of you in your 60s, you're still doing that. That's fine. But for me, that moment's passed. But what moment hasn't passed? And so for me, it's like, yeah, but I still totally love my skiing. And I'm even taking classes now on how to learn to carve better. So I'm still building that energy and that excitement in the things that I can do as I let go of the things I can no longer do. That's that kind of reconciling. Like, where do I keep that energy and excitement for life going? At the same time, I'm reconciling a few things that are just not going to be happening anymore. I'm not going to give birth. I'm not going to have any more babies. I'm probably not going to jump out of a helicopter on snow skis. It's okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't have done it in
me
my
either.
30s either.
No, no.
But where is that vitality and that energy still coming from? And I think Madeline and I are very lucky in that we wanted to have Maxine here today for you guys. It just didn't work out. Maxine is 85 and she never says lets anything stop her. She is constantly reconciling. Like, yeah, she's not skiing anymore. She's got some lymphedema. It's okay. She can't ski anymore, but she's still not saying no. she still has incredible vitality and energy, and she runs circles around
She
us.
does like insane zip lines that like through jungles that would terrify.
She just spent a month at an ashram in India. You know, she's just so vibrant and full of energy. So, how is she taking the anti out of aging and what does that mean for her? And so, it is pretty awesome. And having that as a role model has been pretty awesome. And so for me, taking that anti out of aging, I'm discovering what does that look like for me and at the stage that I am right now. And so I'm Maddie, I'm curious at 37, what what are you going through in your process of aging? I know you haven't hit menopause yet because that's one of those times when women really feel that. You hit those menopause years and you realize I'm never going to have a baby again. That's a transition. Sometimes it's a real happy transition away, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's more painful for some women than others. I know that you've kind of made that decision. You're not at
Mhm.
menopause yet, but you've made that decision. Okay, now I've had my two kids.
Yep.
That part of my life
I'm
is
ready to sleep.
done. You're ready to
I'm ready
sleep.
to sleep. I still haven't 100% got there, but
So talk to me about being going on 40. What is that feeling like for you? What are the kind of the challenges that you're feeling for yourself at 40, being a single mom, even?
yeah. I mean, I think that there have been some really hardworking women over the last of probably 15, 20 years that have really started to pave the way. Like looking back to when I was younger, there was I grew up in the 90s, and a lot of pressure on women at that point in time was to never look older than 40. And so when you women started to age older than that, like a lot of the celebrities and stuff, it was very common to see heavy, heavy plastic surgery at that point in time. Um,
Yeah, a
so
lot
I
of
knew,
injections.
yeah, a lot. I mean, yeah, if you think back to the older celebrities of the 90s and early aughts, like most of them had plastic surgery of
Hmm.
um, some shape or another, and it was very visible. You would see when it happened. Their photos would change, and so I remember um, never feeling right with that. And not to say that that's wrong for people or that that's a bad decision. I think that that's 100% a personal choice, and I don't think that there is a wrong way to decide what's right for you in that way. But I knew that it wasn't for me. It didn't feel right, and I definitely grew up seeing modeled for me that once you passed, like 40, um, you're not really on the camera anymore. The news anchors tend to retire. The celebrities kind of fade back unless they're coming in to play a grandma role.
Unless
Um,
they're a man.
unless they're a
There's
man.
lots of
Yeah, yeah.
sexy old men out there
Yes,
still
yeah, the salt and
starring.
pepper, it's wonderful for men. But I feel
Yeah.
like over recent years that there's a lot of amazing women who are really taking a stand in that way. And I feel like for me growing up, even through times that you struggled with it, I always felt like you modeled for me a different way than that. So,
Okay.
even when you struggled and had braces and got the Botox between your eyebrows, and we all laughed when you try and frown and couldn't, uh, even through that, like you never modeled to me um, that you had to completely change yourself or try and be someone different in order to be, a valuable human being. And I think that it seems so ridiculous, right? That's in this day and age that's still kind of this thing that there's so many ideas about older women and passing their prime and all these sort of things that just don't apply to men. Um, Very annoying. But I mean, here we
Annoying.
are.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like I'm reaching a point where I get to help model new beauty standards for my daughter as well. Being 9 and engaged in this whole kind of tween skincare beauty fad that's been happening, I get to model to her how taking care of your skin is self-care. It's the biggest organ of your body. It's about loving yourself. It's about taking good care of your health. It's about feeling confident in yourself. But it's not about a race to being the most beautiful person in like a certain perspective, right? Like beauty perspectives have been incredibly damaging to women. And it's not about becoming more beautiful, it's about embracing your beauty and who you are and each one of our uniqueness and what we bring to life. And it's not about, our faces, it's about who we are and what we bring forward. And skincare is a way of honoring yourself, taking care of yourself, just being the healthiest you can be. And then that's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to take care of yourself in that way. But the reason we do it um, is
The
to,
self-love,
yeah, is to love ourselves, to take
appreciation,
care of the largest organ of our
mm,
body, and to make sure that we're healthy and happy and confident,
and glowing.
and
I
glowing.
like to
Yeah,
glow. I like to put lots of blush on.
yeah.
But okay,
They've
so
heard me
this
talk about sparkle products before. I'm like, give me all the sparkle
sparkle.
products.
So this brings to my mind what you're saying. A couple of things. One is really talking about, yeah, that those role models in the acting industry, um, and how for a time we were just seeing everybody, all ages of women, kind of looking the same with a very tucked up, plumped up look and no expression to their face. And it got really kind of old. And I can remember when that started to shift, and all of a sudden seeing some female actresses coming on who had incredible lines and deep lines on their face and looseness here and there, and just realizing, oh my gosh, they are so beautiful. And thinking back on people like Katharine Hepburn, that was she wasn't, they weren't really doing facelifts then. They aged naturally and it was so beautiful. And as I looked at pictures over time of even Katharine Hepburn, yeah, she was a beautiful younger woman, of course, but she was more beautiful into her 70s and 80s. Her face had just so much more expression and interest. It was so much more interesting, and realizing that as we saw that shift in women, um, coming back on screen and actually having that kind of character
Yeah.
was really beautiful. I mean, I was disturbed for a while seeing even men that had no expression on their upper across their forehead. um, I think it's beautiful to see expressions and see those lines, and my granddaughter Madeline's daughter calls them crumbles,
Oh,
crumbly
when she was
forehead.
little. Oh, yes, that was one of my favorite stories when she was little. She used to like video games, and the original like Nintendo 64 games that were very pixelated. She called that Crumbly Mario. And one day she was sitting there looking at me, and she says, "Mom, you have a crumbly forehead, just like Tito, who's my dad."
They have both
And we
have
both have
amazing.
the lines that come to
Yes,
your
and I
expression lines.
love those expressions. I would never take those lines away from his forehead or your forehead. I love all that expression in there. But speaking of Elowen and the influence she's getting through social media and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
She was 8 because she's just turned 9. When she was 8, we're driving along in the car, and I love that time with kids because they say the most interesting things and ask the most interesting questions. And she said to me, "Mimi, if you dyed your hair blonde, that you would look younger." And I was like, whoa, where's that coming from? Oh. And I had to explain to her, and it felt good to say to her, well, I love my silver highlights. I like my gray hair, and I've just chosen to embrace that and be who I am. And that's the way I like my hair. And she's like, "Oh, okay."
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. But it was just shocking when I brought the story to Madeline. We just were talking about how shocking it was that even at 8 years old, where's she getting that message that you will look younger if you dye your hair, and that would be important, that we need to look younger. And she'll ask me really cute questions like, will my face be wrinkly like yours when I get to your age? Well, I have all those wrinkles, and I don't think I have that many wrinkles, but I just say, yep, you're gonna have those wrinkles too, and it's kind of nice.
Oh, no,
Parents say the darndest things.
they do. And I think that there's been so many missed opportunities for the media, and we're starting to pick up on it now, to embrace and celebrate the confidence that comes to women with age. I feel like
Yeah.
young women deal with a lot of insecurity, a lot of weird pressures, and there's a certain point that you get to where you just kind of shell that all off.
That pivotal moment.
Yeah, and you're just like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm done with that, and start to move forward. And there are so many beautiful and amazing stories about life after that, and women have so much vitality once you kind of shed all of that off. It's a whole new phase of life. And I feel like we, like the media and film, all that kind of stuff, they've really missed representing that for a long time. And that's not something new. You know, women have always been leading these vibrant and amazing lives and careers and, you know, explorations after the age of 40. And it's just not been represented or shown. And I think that it's really important that we do that, and that um, you know, growing up, we start to have these role models and these actresses and models and public figures that age beautifully and show us what it's like, all of the richness that comes with the full spectrum of life. And I think that that's really important. And I'm really glad that I have grown up with a little bit more perspective around it, and seeing that, because I feel like I have a lot less fear around aging and expressions and gray hairs, and I'm just not fearful of it. You know, like I don't want my skin to look dehydrated with fine lines, but I'm getting fine lines and when I smile, and that those are okay. And I'm not worried about it. I'm just being healthy
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
process.
Yeah. I love that. Just thinking of stories that contributed to my feelings around aging that empowered me. I was I probably in my middle 50s, and I'm in a dressing room. We have a pretty open family, pretty open relationship. So Maxine, my mother-in-law, Raoul, my father-in-law, and myself are all in a dressing room together.
That's so
Trying on
Claire.
some shirts. And I happened to be looking in the mirror, and I was trying on a tank top, and I was kind of, doing this thing, looking at my arm and noticing, wow, my arms, they've kind of changed. And he says, what are you doing? Ralph says, what are you doing? What's going on? I said, well, I'm just noticing my arms are really changing. And I don't know. And he goes, oh, he says, forget about that. That has nothing to do with it. He's like, that doesn't matter. You just, you learn after a time, you learn those kind of things just don't matter. I'm like, okay. It just doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's gonna happen to everybody. And if it's not here, it's on your legs, it's right here. It's just going to happen. And it's not what matters. I think that we really get caught up in trying so hard to not look our age, to look younger. And we sometimes forget that's not the goal of life. The goal of life, especially for women, I think for Raul it's easier. For men have a lot of male role models that are very sexy and empowering at very even at 80. And for women, we are trying to find our value by looking younger and to where was I going with that?
Yeah, that's not the true place where value lies.
No, our goal in life, we weren't put on this earth, our purpose, our reason to yet, our reason to live cannot be to not age or to look 30 or even look 40 forever. That just can't be why we're here. Because it happens. It's just like Ralph said, it just happens. And there's something more important to life. And I really believe it's that vitality. Me knowing that people I know in their 80s and their 90s, what I admire about them, is their vitality, the energy, the sparkle in their eye, the beautiful lines they have from smiling and living a really rich, joyful, sometimes sad, some sad lines too, sorrowful, but really rich life. And letting that be reflected in our faces, I think that that is a cool thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like it is important too to look at your parents and your grandparents or elders, your elders that you really admire and look up to. It's not always family. Um, and then to think back about what those lines mean to you. Like we talked about the crumbly forehead, right? That to me, when I see those lines on my dad's face, I remember him telling us stories and playing. He is super expressive and he was like the best storyteller, do all the crazy voices and everything. And I kind of have that gift too to be very expressive with my face. It's like, which will make my kids just, die laughing. But those lines just they have a lot of value when you think
very
back. And you
valuable.
think back to um what those all those smiles and those funny faces and um, hands, what those hands have done for you and what they have done in life. And I think that
It's
it's
beautiful.
it's very beautiful, and it's really neat to take a step back and look at it, with gratitude. And when your body is slower to heal, thinking about how grateful you are for all of the things it has healed for you. It's healed so many things and it's still doing it. And that's amazing. And I think taking that gratitude stance can be empowering as well.
Very empowering, very lucky to be the ages that we are, and living and loving life and having relationships and pampering ourselves with our skincare. Because it is fun.
It is.
And it's so fun to me is seeing the men in my lives who, as they get older, they start doing that. My husband pampering his skin and feeling that, joy in that, and that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I yeah. I feel like men are always like, we don't need skincare, and then they see your skincare and they're like, oh.
Pretty soon things are disappearing. And now if I take things from my husband's side of the sink, his skincare, he's like, "Where's my serum? Gina, where's my cleanser?"
I will never forget the time he came out of the bathroom and was like, Gina, I love that new body lotion you got. And she kind of looks at him and goes, what body lotion? He's like, that one that smells like blueberries. And immediately her eyes get big, and it was the Sorella Blueberry Milk Moisturizer that's like $80 a bottle. She was like, you're using that as a body lotion?
Well, he was, and that was my indication that I needed to get him some really nurturing body creams. I started bringing home Moon Dip from Farmhouse Fresh, which I kind of always associated as a more feminine scent. And oh my gosh, he loves that stuff, and it smells great on him. But that was my indication that he needed to have some pampering body care because he was putting on my blueberry milk. But it's interesting at every age because then there's the story of my grandson who's probably one or two. And back then, Cavapla, which we all love in the silver bottle, used to be in this really kind of gaudy crystal plastic jar.
It's horrible.
And he got a hold of it one day, and I get out of the shower and I look down at him, and he's eating it. Well,
There goes $200.
right. It's great. Oh, I love it.
Oh, yep.
So Ben is over there monitoring the video. Do we have any questions coming at or comments? Oh, great. We'll let Madeline read our comments
Sure.
because she doesn't need readers yet.
Let's see. Someone who his nickname is 60s says, opening with off topic. That gray color looks so fresh on both of you.
Oh, thank you.
And then Susie says, how do you feel about PDO threads?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it. And, so I can't tell you how effective it is or what long-term effects might have. And I do know it's been going on now 6 or 7 years. But even at 6 or 7 years, it's still experimental. And it's one of the issues sometimes I have with some of these things that the derms come up with to help us with our anti-aging is that there's no long-term studies. Nobody knows really what that's going to do. And we now know that injections are fine, but we also know that it does degrade that skin texture. You know, whenever you have injections put in, you're causing inflammation. And we do know now that inflammation leads to more aging. And so while some of these things that they're doing look good at the time, sometimes because they're causing so much inflammation that the skin is nice and plumped up and swollen. But as that goes down over the years, what's going to be the long-term effect of that? And is it going to end up that your skin is less healthy after that? Possibly. So I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't had it done, and I haven't had a client yet who's had it done either. So I can't give you a lot of feedback on that.
All right, I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. Awesome. This has been a really fun show. I hope it inspires all of you. Mother's Day is coming up. We thought it'd be really fun to do a show together and talk about parenting and being a mom,
Yeah, and being a role model,
and being a
and
role model.
how to look at the role models in your life, whether they are your mother, a mother figure, a parental figure, or not familiar at all, but just an older role model. I think it's really important to look to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear we have another question.
Oh yes, okay. Um, let's see. Meg says, thoughts on how to deal with traumatic things happening to your skin in your older age. Acne scars for me at 39. It's been really hard on my self-esteem, and I don't want to do anything extreme like subcision or fillers.
Yeah, we were just laughing earlier before the show started because I got a pimple. I woke up with a pimple this morning, and I said, "This is so youthful. It's so exciting that I have this pimple on my face." But I get that when you go through stressful situations, life changes, or things happen, that sometimes you can have an acne trigger that can cause acne scarring. And so there are some things that you can do for that, but also knowing that it's okay. I mean, I have injuries to my face, I have dark spots. I have some scars here and there on my face. I have some injuries from trying to have dark spots treated. And none of us are a perfect palette, and that's okay, and embracing that. There's some people who have more acne scarring than others, but I understand that that is traumatic, and there are things that you can do too that may not completely get rid of it, but might make your skin. And what my goal always is to have that overall health and glow and vitality to your skin, that yeah, we have those imperfections, but they don't matter that much. People really don't notice them as much as you do when you're looking at it. But there's some things that you can do, and it depends on the kind of scarring that you have, whether it's hyperpigmentation scarring or whether it's actually pitting or some lines of demarcation around where you had a blemish. One of the most powerful things that we have at Artist Skincare is our microneedling system from Anti-Age. There is a specific ampule that you can get for microneedling, and it's called, I think it's called Clarity or Skin Clear, Clarity, something like that. So Lynn can pop in if she's around. And microneedling with that, our clients have found that to be very helpful. And depending on how deep those scars are, we haven't seen any kind of laser treatments really being that effective. But what we have seen people have great results with when those are really deep is resurfacing with professional grade microneedling, where you go into an actual doctor's office. They use some a little bigger needles and they work on that. We've seen some really wonderful results from that. But we've also seen, as a caution here, we've also seen some pretty negative results from people doing it at home and causing more scarring, trying to do it to themselves. So anytime you're going to go above a 0.3, 0.25 or zero point 0.3 in your needle, I would leave that to the professionals to do that for you so that you don't make the situation worse. But we have seen people really help smooth that out and get a nice result just using the 0.25, either the stamp or a roller, and using that anti-age
Yeah,
shampoo.
I remember we had some before and afters submitted maybe a year or two ago with a young gal who had acne scarring. She was probably late 20s, early 30s. And she was using the brightening microneedling stuff from Anti-Age
Mhm.
and was seeing, I think she actually used the stamp. So it was the stamp and then the brightening solution from Anti-Age, and her before and afters were really amazing. Just
So
for
you
even
can
the
do that.
at home.
And but at the same time encouraging you that you are still beautiful, and having, we used to call them pock marks from chickenpox. I think I actually have a pock mark up here. Having pock marks or having some acne scarring, you are still absolutely beautiful. And there is no standard that your skin needs to look like Barbie skin unless we believe that ourselves. So those little changes, those little imperfections can be a part of our beauty. They don't have to be a negative thing. And it was easy to say when you don't have that kind of acne scarring, right?
Yeah.
But I do see more and more young people embracing that and being okay with it and just owning their beauty and shining right through it. And that's what we all have to do with any step of our aging process, is honoring our own beauty and shining through it.
All right. Joseph says, do you see differences in how skincare companies market products and use terms like anti-aging? Despite promoting healthy aging, bias language still seems prevalent.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I get bummed out. I mean, we just brought in Glymed, and I think one of their creams is called anti-aging. Something, we still see that anti-aging all the time. And, if we got really uptight about this, we could like say, no, we're not going to sell those products. But we've chosen not to take that kind of a political stance with it because we want products that really do affect the health of the skin. But I think that those companies are missing the mark by doing that. And I've actually met with some people, marketing people from different companies that had discussions like this. I had the pleasure of meeting the marketing director from Jones Road Beauty, and just saying, your products are being modeled everywhere by these younger women, when I think your market is women my age and older, because your foundation is called What the Foundation. It looks best. It looks amazing on skin with more texture. It's just beautiful. And now you're starting, and I don't think it's because I said anything. I think that they're starting to make that shift, and they are starting to show more older women modeling foundations and makeups, and you're seeing some companies doing that really well. And yet, yeah, there still are other companies who are using a 14-year-old to model a firming skin cream.
Yeah.
I try not to do that. It's just ridiculous.
And you see it, you still even see it, like they'll have more positive language, but then every single model that they use is in their 20s.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big thing, like pieces of feedback that I've often gotten when I, am at tech conferences or UC Berkeley things out in the world, and expose my website to people, or my website, our website. And usually some of the biggest feedback we get is that from the minute I landed on your homepage, I could tell this was a place for me because there was a variety, like there was actually people my age on your website. People would click in and see imagery of Maxine or of you and feel
Mhm.
like they'd see, oftentimes we do all of our photography in house for the most part, and
Because we can't get good stock imagery.
yeah,
Stock imagery is all Barbie faces,
often. And so most of our photography is taken in house, which means that most of the photography that you see are just our staff. It's just us.
Staff
And
and
so
family members.
oftentimes we come to work and it's like, hey, we need to do this social media video or this, that, the other. And we're not customer facing. So half the time we're here in leggings, no makeup. And so there's a lot of content of us out there with little to no
Just being
makeup,
real.
just being super real with who we are. And I think that that is different, and it's not something that people are used to seeing, and I think it's refreshing. I know that it is for me, and so I hope that more brands can kind of take that on and start to also, live by that. We have a lot of people that are now saying the buzzwords of anti-aging and that kind of thing, but they're not truly like living it or providing those examples. So
Yeah, and I think
I think
about
we'll get
for
there.
men as well, even in the beauty industry, a lot of some of the men's lines that are coming out that are targeting men, again, they're using pretty much all young men's faces and men who aren't even really experiencing lines or wrinkles or loss of firmness yet. And so that's a direction that we're just starting to go in to start using some of our male employees around here, my husband pulling in different men of different ages and skin tones and everything, and being more real about what we expect people to look like.
Mhm.
Um,
And
it's a great
there's
challenge.
a whole
It's
nother
really
conversation. I mean,
fun.
we could go down a whole nother channel talking about, men's skincare and, what the industry is kind of doing with that. It's turned into a buzzword and
Mhm.
lots of manly skincare that's just less potent.
Or women's
So
skincare just repackaged in a men's
yeah, I
packaging.
feel like the whole thing that happened
Yeah,
with women where they like pinkified everything and then added a few pennies to it, like they're kind of doing that in men's skincare now, where
they
they're kind of
are.
like they're putting the man package on it and it's just not as good. And we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Men's skin wants effective results just like women's skin does. It's not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
not a, a rocket science.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
gets a what gets good results works for men and women, and we can all
And
do it
we
together.
tend to think of men as always being the minimalists, and that's not true. Not all men are minimalists. There are a lot of female minimalists as well. And so, really embracing that breadth of interest for everyone in a healthy way.
And humanity, just humanity
Yeah.
has so much variance.
Our
It
first
makes it beautiful.
kind of catchphrase that we had from the very beginning with Art of Skin Care was everyone beautiful, each one unique. And that was kind of our guiding philosophy when I was 45, now at 63. It still really is. It still really holds true that everyone is beautiful and everyone is unique, and all of our skincare needs are unique, and the way we like to apply skincare is unique. It's a lot of fun, and that's why it's an art. That's why I named it Art of Skincare, because it really is an art to interact and um, bring out that beauty in its unique way in every single person that we meet. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. 60 says that once in a while pimple could happen as just a side effect to retinol user. That once in a while pimple could happen just a side effect to retinol users that could be good. Cyanide. Oh, is it like a purging?
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's a purging. There's lots of things that contribute to a breakout, from changes in your diet,
Right.
binging on something, or your hormone changes, or stress. If you had a really stressful moment, it's really common 2 or 3 weeks later to have a good pimple come up. Um, but yeah, I mean, you do sometimes see breakouts that occur with retinol, but it's because retinol is bringing out the imperfections and in your skin, the damaged DNA in your skin, and sloughing it off so that new baby skin is rising up to the surface. I did have a little bump on the side of my face over here. It was like a milia, which is just like a little white hard seed. And it had just been there forever, and I started using my retinol more regularly because I'm loving that is clinical retinol emulsion, so I'm being more regular with it. And this bump here, it's been there for about 3 months and kind of kept getting closer and closer to the surface. Never turned red or anything, but then all of a sudden the white seed popped out. I think Ben, who's sitting over here, had a similar experience with his, is that it is going to bring out things that don't need to be there. Retinol will also sometimes bring up, it doesn't bring it up, but it can make cancer evident. So sometimes you've got some cancer cells there that you don't even know about, and you start treating it with retinol, and it's going to make it a little red and angry. And sometimes that's a great thing, because then you go in and you get it checked and you get it removed. So retinol is really all about having healthier skin cells, healthier DNA, rising up to the surface, and you're going to shed some of that stuff that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, Meg wins my favorite comment of the day.
Okay,
She
let's hear
says,
it.
"Your website is really awesome. I'm in marketing as well. It made me feel like y'all were my friends or sisters." Yay! I feel like those in marketing, oftentimes we're not really the front end of things. We feel a little unseen. So I'm gonna run back and be like, "Guys, but
That's
that's
awesome.
really what we are striving for and how we want Art of Skincare to be a community and to have that community feel um and to be a support. We're here to be a support. We're here to make sure that you don't come in and look at a wall full of skin creams and leave with nothing, feeling completely overwhelmed. You reach out to us because we want to help you and be in that relationship and help you reach all of your goals.
Yeah, it's been a guiding focus from the very day one of launching the website was how do we recreate what we do in the spa environment one-on-one with our clients? How do we recreate that online? And there's bumps and stuff along the way right now.
Figuring it
Sometimes,
out.
yeah, like we've got more comments coming in or more questions coming in than we answer that we can answer, but we all pitch in and we go to work and then we figure out a solution and what we need to do to make it work so that we can keep offering that really great level of interaction with our clients. It's not always perfect, but we're striving towards that and we're always working to make it better as we
Yep.
grow.
Let's see. Being Oh, you mentioned a foundation for mature skin. Have you found an emollient concealer that would not settle into lines?
Oh, well, the foundation that we love and that people even in their 80s, they're loving that Jones Road. It's called What the Foundation. And I kind of use that like a concealer, I think, because I'm not one of those people that puts concealer all over my face. It's more just putting it in those areas where I get more redness or have a little more imperfections. And I mainly wear it on work days or days when I know we're filming. And I think that the What the Foundation does a pretty great job. So we
It is a
do
sheer. It's a sheer coverage, but it is buildable. Like you can do
you
layers.
can build on it, and I haven't noticed it settling into lines. Sometimes it takes, with your application, just laying it down with your fingers into the texture of the skin. Um,
I've got the up close here, and she has nothing settling. Nothing is settling. So
we also have some new makeup coming in, launching in June 1.
yeah, we've got some
And we've been
surprises in June.
testing that. So I need to do some more testing with that before I can really say definitively that that's not going to settle into your lines. And mainly, I've got to get Maxine testing it for us and some more people with more texture to their skin. But we will keep you posted on that.
Ah, Meg says our brain should be a case study in marketing classes.
Oh, thank
I
you.
love that.
It's all homegrown, just trial and error, trial and error, trial
Yeah.
and error.
And most of the staff who work here are also like pretty homegrown. A lot of us have grown up at Art of Skincare. We have people in our design department who started here. They just got a job in our shipping department, and then we noticed they had a great eye. And
They're an artist or they're a great
yeah,
writer and it's been
yeah,
fun watching everybody develop and grow, and it's been refreshing because trying to do what we're trying to do is different than most other websites. So we just can't copy someone else. We've got to constantly be thinking about, let's try this. Well, what if we added a quiz to help somebody find their cleanser? Would that be helpful for somebody? Just constantly trying to figure out how to do it and how to do it better. And there's nobody ahead of us already doing it. So it's a lot of fun, creative, and sometimes stressful trying to figure it out. And sometimes we make mistakes along the way, but mostly it's a lot of ingenuity and creativity and really hacking out our own trail,
yeah,
blazing our trail. And
yeah.
it's fun. Yeah, because we're not trying to sell products by discounting them. And we're not trying to sell every brand that's out there in the skincare industry. A lot of skincare websites where you can go and buy things, they're selling just about every brand you can get. We're not trying to do that. sometimes I think about, well, maybe it would have been easier if we did just do that. We didn't provide the level of service that we do, and we just sold every brand and made it available. We didn't educate everybody, but I would be really bored, and this gives us a lot of joy.
Hmm.
We really enjoy doing it. So maybe we've chosen a little harder road, but it's really satisfying for us to do it.
Yeah, it feels good to stand behind what you
Yeah.
bring to the table and what you
And being
offer.
authentic, we're bringing out an authentic group of people together and doing something really authentic rather than just slapping a bunch of products out on this website and seeing what sticks and what doesn't, what people buy. We're really standing behind it, educating people about what we find, and being real, having a real person, real people behind the brand. And how do we show that? For a long time that was a difficulty for us because there's no role models out there. Was, people would come and meet us, and marketing consultants would come and meet us and say, wow, you've got something really amazing that you're doing, and you're having all this interaction with people, but we can't see that on your website. We go to your website, we didn't know all that was happening. And still there's stuff that we do that you probably don't know what's happening. And it's always this challenge for us. How do we speak this so that our customers can see it when they come? They can understand the breadth and depth of the commitment we have to what we're doing. And like I said, there's no other websites out there doing this that we can emulate. We've got to figure out how to do it ourselves. And
That's what makes us unique.
it makes us unique.
Let's see. You can't help but feel fresher when you give yourself a facial, which has become a regular routine thanks to your tutorials. Yeah. Yep.
Yay. We've got some more tutorials on facials coming up for summer. Home treatments,
Yep.
overnight glow ups and stuff like that that we've been putting
Yep.
together. It's part of our creativity here is we're always kind of mixing and matching and experimenting, trying this and that, and then having other people try it and see if they get the same result, and then sharing it with all of you. So we have some fun little combos coming
Yeah.
up through the summer.
I did one of last night. I had my bubble bath after the kids went to bed, and I did
Okay.
one of your OG studio facials. I
Okay.
used the pumpkin lactic cleanse from Rhonda Ellison,
Oh
and
yeah.
sitting in the bathtub, let it steam up a little bit. I let it sit before I gave myself a good massage and
That
removed it all. And then
scent
I
of that
did the well, it used to be the grapeseed hydrating mask, and I think now it's grapeseed antioxidant mask.
might be just antioxidant mask. I know they changed the
They
name.
changed the names. Uh,
That is an
no,
amazing mask for
it
smoothing the
it
skin.
is, and I feel like it's a great one for pampering because it smells really nice. It's just hydrating and plumping and glowy, and it just is that great self care moment.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I actually keep a container of that pumpkin cleanser in my bathtub too, and I mix it in with my other cleansers when I want to have that more sensual moment, where it just smells good and feels good. So I'll mix it with my hop foam, volumizing foam cleanser, just to to get a smell going with it. Or sometimes I mix it with the apricot, Cirilla's apricot mango
Ooh, that would be good.
cleanser. That's a fun, really great combination. So yeah, that pumpkin cleanser is
It's a staple.
it's a staple when you're wanting to pamper yourself.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah,
All right. Cool. I think we made it
we
through.
did it. Got
Yeah.
everyone's questions answered. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and just being part of this conversation and part of questioning of who are we as women as we age and what do we bring to the table. It's been really fun. We'll see you